you will watch on this podcast.
One size doesn't fit, particularly on wellness. You have 8 billion people on this planet.
It's not like they're putting a knife under the throat of a customer saying like, okay, you need to buy.
Because at the end of the day, when you sell somebody, you transfer some emotions to the person. You can die out of salmonella. You can really die, guys. So government or regulation is overreacting to things that can happen. And here we have it in business.
I'm sorry.
And at the end of the day, who loses?
Welcome back to the Wellness Billion podcast, guys.
I'm Karim Amor, a deep tech entrepreneur for over 30 years.
And I'm Yassine Amor, a wellness content creator with a following of over 2 million people across social media.
So as promised, this podcast will handle the wellness new developments that are occurring in the market. Then we're going to tackle the potential of the business of wellness, and we're going to work on the wellness of humankind in regard of this tremendous development of AI.
So let's get right into it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the first topic we're going to talk about a name that most of you don't know yet, but some of you know, Salmonella. There's an article that came out about Salmonella that I'm going to read to you just to give you a few insights about it. The CDC and FDA report the Salmonella outbreak linked to cucumbers affecting 162 people in 25 states, including Washington, D.C., and it led to over 50 hospitalizations. Can you imagine that? With the French start-produced sales recalling whole cucumbers in over 14 states.
So as you mentioned, many people don't know exactly what salmonella. Can you please, even myself, I'm not very qualified, or I don't really understand the basic of it. Could you please explain us?
What I can tell you, Yassine, is that it hurts. It's some bacteria that develops into a food that is very harsh to the body. So I remember about Salmonella when I was working at McDonald's when I was a student. I remember the program that was given to us the first day we came into McDonald's was saying that...
Wait. You guys need to understand something. He's deep into wellness, but a long time ago, he worked in McDonald's. This is crazy. Did you eat some burgers at McDonald's?
Sure, I started by eating. Yeah. Did you eat burgers? Do you remember how we were having burgers when you were young?
I remember every time we wanted to go to McDonald's, it was like kind of a treat. It was like, oh no, this is not good. And like 2 weeks later, it's like, okay guys, let's go have ice cream at McDonald's. I remember we went to have lunch at a certain restaurant. We're going every Sunday at that restaurant. And then we directly went to have ice cream at McDonald's, and that was like happy Sunday.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, lessons learned is that it's because I worked in restaurants like a kind of McDonald's that I knew what it was about and how it was produced. I don't say McDonald's is 100% bad. I said they had so many measures taken not to get salmonella into the burgers, so that they were saying to us, okay, after a certain time, don't sell those hamburgers because of salmonella. So those bacteria who were deposited, who grew into the burgers, who were doing harm to people. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anywhere else. You see that it exists also in cucumbers. It can exist in anything. So it's not about McDonald's or not McDonald's.
It's just an example that
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, that's crazy though. We always neglect, for example, I personally neglect how I wash my vegetables before eating. I always wash my vegetables with water only. I know that normally you should wash vegetables with
baking soda,
and like leaving it for like an hour, or I don't know, so that all the bacteria go away because of all that like conservatives and pesticides and everything that we put to be able to grow those vegetables.
Yes, but that's when your vegetables are at home, because before you get the vegetables home, you buy them. And that is where the problem occurs, because at the end of the day, when you have salmonella into the vegetables of what you're buying fresh into the market or into the supermarket, I mean, you have it. You can wash it 100 times. It won't be removed.
Yeah. Do you remember, I think it was like 4 years ago when we were studying to grow our own vertical farming and to go into that business of vertical farming, because you can control how you can grow the vegetables and do like mass production. It's it's healthier than growing it outside with pesticides and all that.
Yeah, this goes into the what we call the precision agriculture. This is a controlled environment where you grow crops, and I think during this the podcast we're going to talk about it because it's a really interesting topic for the future. But as far as salmonella is concerned, the real thing for me is getting to tech and be able to like blockchain the whole process of salmonella, of the cucumbers, the ones we're talking about today, being produced, and be able to trace the cucumbers from the day they are produced to the day they are at your home. And this is all about traceability.
Let me ask you something. How can you prevent salmonella? Is there like kinds of prevention we can take from it?
As I mentioned, the best way to do it for me is traceability. And traceability by all means can be done any stage with the tech existing today. Blockchain is one way to trace fruits and vegetables or any kind of food that you produce. It's just that traceability needs time and needs an organization, which means that you have to go all the way through the agriculture and the farmer and bring all the tech from the farmer to the table. And there's a whole process, and there are a lot of players that do it pretty well.
I just remembered about something that we talked about a long time ago. You saw me meal prepping a lot, and I think you're the one who told me like, be careful with the rice when you put it in the fridge and leave it for a certain time. Can salmonella grow into that rice?
Sure, it can grow anywhere. So you see cucumbers, it can grow on cucumber. Well, I'm not an expert in salmonella and so forth, but what I can tell you is that whatever you put in the fridge or outside the fridge, you have to be aware how it evaluates, because at the end of the day, bacteria are growing in a temperature environment. Temperature is a big thing for salmonella. And we have to be aware of the kind of food we're putting in our fridge and how it involves our salmonella or conversations modes that are concerned.
Again, like you just mentioned something. I love it because when I'm having a debate, because with my dad, I always like remember some words and I'm asking him questions so I can learn and so you can learn as well. And you said about like temperature. There's a big debate on frozen vegetables. Are frozen vegetables fresher than than fresh vegetables or not? That's a question I'm asking you.
I give you my opinion because, guys, whatever we do here, it's always about an opinion. And my answer to you will be on something very much more sensitive than fresh vegetables. It's about fish. A lot of people think that fish that are frozen are like not as fresh as fresh fish. Let me tell you something. Fresh frozen fish are mostly produced on the boat. They go through a cryogenic tunnel. As soon as they are fished, they're frozen and all their characteristics are preserved, which means that when you defrost it home, you have a fish that could be literally as fresh as when you fished it.
Even fresher, I think. Because I saw a video like this. I saw a video that like they fished and then they put it directly into that process of freezing it and then transferring it. And they did the same with vegetables as well.
Yeah.
That's why I asked this question, because recently I saw that video and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because now people, I think even frozen vegetables are less expensive than fresh vegetables, because there's a process of, how do we call the transport process, the logistics process is less expensive than the fresh. I think that's what I heard. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. But I saw a video like this.
Well, I believe the constraint that you have in the logistics makes you think that whenever you have whatever kind of constraint, like when you freeze something, you use energy, you use machines, you use transportation and logistics. All this compounds into the fruits and vegetables that you want to freeze. So I believe it'll be more expensive. Plus, when you freeze them, before you freeze them, you have to clean them, not to keep any salmonella or anything harsh.
Yeah, any bacteria.
Because when people use them, normally they just unpack them and use them as such.
All right, I see. Well, that's a big point, and that's something we should learn. We always need to take care of where we buy our food. If we can track exactly where the food comes from, is even better. And nowadays, a lot of big industries are making this. You have a QR code behind the package or behind anything, just to track exactly how and what's the exact process that product took until it came to the supermarket or to the local market or whatsoever. But we know that salmonella is bad. But what are the consequences of this if you eat a food that has this?
Well, in the case of cucumbers that we just saw, there were about 50 hospitalizations. You can die out of salmonella. I mean, you can really die, guys. So we have to be very cautious because it's an invisible sickness. And at the end of the day, you go through diarrhea, nausea, a lot of stomach pain and so on and so forth. Those are signs. Fever is a sign also. So you can know about the salmonella effects just after you've been eating. So you have to take care and pay attention about it. And if you feel that you're not feeling so good, just look at your practitioner for more information.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get sick. Let's not get sick. Much better. Control exactly what you eat. Eating healthy is a way of controlling what you eat, but even like eating healthy, you can find some sickness in the food.
Absolutely. Well, we were right about it together. We were aligned for the first time. So let's go to the second topic.
So now we're going to talk about a topic that really passionates me because I'm personally using it, not only for myself, but I'm also like selling different products out of this thing, which is referral selling. And a lot of people are doing it. And especially nowadays, for example, with TikTok and all of that, people make a living and a good living out of referral marketing, referral selling. You want to call it how you want to call it, but it's all about selling something, a product or service with a personalized link. And you get rewarded with money or any other services by selling that product without having to do anything else. You're just talking about the product. If someone buys out of your link, you're gonna get a commission, which is...
Yeah, but first of all, I want to tell you, easy selling is not always a good thing, because at the end of the day, when you sell somebody, you transfer some emotions to the person and you transfer some responsibility.
Yeah, but you're gonna sell something that you like.
Well, sure, you're going to sell something that you like, but when you speak about like those TikTok thing, TikTok is a social network that helps people make money, and I acknowledge that it might be a good solution for some people. But at the end of the day, when you sell something out of referral, you take a responsibility of handing over something that you consider as good for people. If you do it just for the sake of selling, then I believe it's not a good thing. If you do it out of something that you believe in, because you tested it, you practiced it, not only about money. I mean, look at you, Yassine. You refused so many people, so many companies, so many products that you don't comply with because it's not of your value. That's what I mean. You can't sell just for the sake of referring people and selling things. That's my opinion.
That's a good point. Like, for example, myself, I refuse many things that they don't align with my values. I'm not going to communicate about something that I don't use or something that I don't like just to communicate about money. But normally, referral marketing nowadays, it's like when, for example, I'm creating a video online and I'm just using that product and people see me using that product and they like it. I'm not telling them, okay, you have to buy it, because I'm not in people's mind to tell them, okay, now you click and you buy. I can't do that. That's impossible. But what I can do is like influence people into the way I use that product. If they like it, there's a specific link with my name on it so they can buy it and I can get rewarded for it because I created content. And creating content out of a certain product or service, it's time consuming. It's a job today.
Okay, but let's look at the article about, I think it's about Australia, and let's talk about it.
Basically, in this article, they say under Australian consumer law, referral selling is illegal and involves promising benefits for referrals that lead to purchases. Companies can face fines up to 10 million and individuals up to $500,000, which means if I was under Australian law, I could get a fine of over $500,000. Yeah, sure. I prefer buying a house for that. They say that it's legal to offer benefits for simply providing potential customer names without requiring purchases.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. That brings something, for me, that brings something important, which is, how do you perceive whether it's going to be legal or illegal, as far as when you want to help people get the best of the product that you have, and you don't let them, and that you might be frightened to propose products that you have to sell to them because out of the law, you are supposedly not doing it, because otherwise you will pay $500,000 or even $10 million. I mean, this is nonsense. And at the end of the day, Yassine, it depends how you perceive it, because when you want to sell something that you like and you see that there is a law behind it that says, okay, $500,000, you won't be pushed to sell the thing that also, if you like, because of interpretation. You have false sales that are like those Ponzi pyramids. And Ponzi pyramids is when you take something of someone to give it to somebody else where you promise something. So it's not the same type of thing. And people would think that also referral is a way for you to be able to put up a Ponzi pyramid. I agree. I'm totally against Ponzi pyramids because at the end of the day, it never works because it's Ponzi. But when it's referral done from the heart, because you believe in the product, or if you, like you said, and I agree with that, when you said, I want to let people take their responsibility, but then you have to be very open to them and tell them all about the truth, because referrals is a fantastic way to hand over, like we said, our feeling about the products for them. And if we believe that the product is right for them, particularly on wellness, then we can go for it. But people will then judge if it's good or not. And what is great about social networks at the end of the day is that people speak, they talk. I mean, I used it, this is what happened to me. I did that, this is what happened to me. Mm-hmm. And so you can never lie. You just have people that have different experiences, and the whole average of the experiences makes the value of the product.
So I agree with you on some points, but I disagree as well on some others. It's true that you definitely need to align with your values by communicating a product and telling the truth about the product. But sometimes the same product or service can have different effects into people. For example, if I can use like a product or a vitamin or a dietary complement or whatsoever and brings me good to me, and I'm referring, like I'm telling to people like, okay, it did good to me, and people then buy it and did bad to them, I can't be responsible for that, because when I tried it and I had good results in my body and my energy or whatsoever, because it fits my needs, the responsibility of the person that's going to buy that product, it's their responsibility. They need to go and look for the information of the product. I'm just influencing and raising awareness about the product. Okay, this thing exists. This thing worked for me.
Yeah, but here you touch another point which is important, which is the point of what we do in a daily basis with our research centers, which is 𝐒𝐿. One size doesn't fit all. That's for sure. Particularly on wellness. You have 8 billion people on this planet, 8 people different ways to react to things. To what we eat, to how we do sports, to how we sleep, to what we think. This is why our concept with Yassine is called 𝐒𝐿, like epigenetics, which means that every single one of us has a part of his genetics, but we'll explain that later. But coming back to what Yassine just said, yes, Yassine, you can eat the same like fruit and it doesn't cope with you. Mm-hmm. And I can eat the same fruit and it makes me be up and running for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then you say, okay, it's for the consumer to think and to take the circumstance. And when you refer someone, you refer it from the deep of your heart, and you have something to say. Like when you refer the sector that strikes me most is the financial sector. You always have to disclose that this is not intending a financial advice to people. And this is because you cannot be an advisor because you're not a professional, so you're not supposed to do it. And out of law, I agree that it should be punished. But as far as food is concerned, I mean, you give your all to say to people, this is good because it's good for me, and it works in that conditions. And this is bad because it's bad in those conditions. And it depends on the cooking. It depends on you have Salmonella or not. We talked about it. Yeah. It depends on where you buy it and how it was how it grew. Are to be taken into account. So the appreciation of you referring some people to some solutions depends on how you put together something around it to prepare people to apprehend whatever you're proposing to them.
I totally understand what you mean, and I'm 100% with you. I agree with what you said, but how come the Australian consumer law says that I'm going to fine you $10 million if I'm a company, or $500,000 if I'm an individual, knowing that you only refer the product that worked for you? Yeah, I agree. There's like a lot of content creators and influencers and whatsoever that promotes products that are bad. That's their choice. And it's not like they're putting a knife under the throat of a customer saying like, okay, you need to buy. No, at the end, it's the the other person that's looking on the content, okay, this could be good for me. Like, I want it, I want to buy it. You see what I mean?
But about Australia, it's a good example. And this brings us to the subjects of the government or regulators usually overreacting to things that can happen. Well, here we have it in business, but it could be in anything else. And at the end of the day, who loses? I mean, the practice of referral is a practice is now since the infancy of the world. And that it cannot change. It's just the interpretation that has to be taken into account. And to come back to you, Yassine, to what you just said, at the end of the day, yes, we have to look at what we do. We have to be very much aware. And they're also a kind of using the tech to predict the behavior of the customer and know what it's all about. I mean, we're talking about precision sales today. AI helps us a lot in that arena. We have also to make our employees aware of what we do, and also not only that, but inform the customers for the best availability. So all this information has to circulate before you get into any referral of something. Information is key, and we end the era with information. It's worth nothing.
I just want to finish with like one point, which for me personally, it's very, very important, and a lot of people neglect it. It's like, all right, there's this referral marketing, or referral selling, whatever you want to call it, but which is good for some product, bad for other product. But you choose at the end the one you're going to refer. And for me, which I'm a content creator, it's very important to have it. Why? Because it allows me to be able to create even more content, because I need to be paid for that time. I need to be paid for the time that I'm creating that content. Yes, people are only seeing like a few minutes of that video, or I don't know, like if it's on YouTube, on TikTok, or Instagram, whatsoever, you only see 1 minute, for example, on Instagram, and you're like, okay, this is so easy. But for me, it took me like 1 day to film, then another day to edit, then like 2 days to brainstorm the concept and everything. So it took me time, so I need to be paid for that time. And that's why referral selling came into place. Okay, we're gonna give you a product, you're gonna create content with that product. If you like it, if you accept it, and then you can get rewarded thanks to that. And for me, that's the power of referral selling.
I agree totally, and it should be done like this. But are all the people like this? I think in Australia, they might have some headaches with some people that did it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And to come back to social networks. Social networks is an open door to sell everything by every means and every way. So this is it. When you are someone who is supposedly referring, I mean, look at the example of Yassine. I love it. I love the way he processed, and I wish all of us could refer things they believe in and they practiced. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the person that you refer the things to is the one who, what he gives you, most of all, is trust. And you have to consider that trust as the most valuable thing you can ever have.
I agree 100%. I want to know your thoughts, guys, on this topic. If you can let us know in the comments, what do you think about this? What do you think about, for example, creating content, referring a product, or getting paid actually to create that content as well? And what do you think about referral marketing in general? So let's dive into our last topic, which I'm going to let you present.
Yeah, this topic is very sensitive and very deep to my heart because it brings AI to the picture and the future of humankind in the age of era, which is one of the main 3 topics that we're handling in this podcast. It's about digital babies created. And let me read to you what it is about. The researchers at the University of Galway developed a digital baby models to study infants and using it to study their health in the first 180 days using data from 10,000 newborns to create 360 advanced computer models simulating metabolic processes in 26 organs. So that means, guys, that we are taking babies, we're taking the data from the newborns, and we're making of the data a data set that help us know about the behavior of their metabolic evolution over time. So what do you think?
So first of all, thank you for explaining with your own words, because when you read, I didn't understand anything. It's way too complicated. But okay, there's like a good side of it and there's the bad side of it. There's some people that are going to think, for example, I think I'm one of those who's going to think like, okay, this is a bad thing. because this is not nature. We are born the way we are born, and we're gonna evaluate the way we're gonna evaluate, and we don't need to track this data to become better or whatsoever. At the beginning, like when you're a child or a newborn or whatsoever, you don't really care about that. And even your parents, the only thing that should care, I mean, I'm not a dad, you're my dad, I'm still not a dad, but they shouldn't care about specifics of it. Like, it's nature. You just grow and you see what happens, and at some point you start taking action into health or whatsoever. So I'm not a strong believer into this tech, to be honest.
Well, that means you admit that you have to let things go as they are without any intervention whatsoever, even on tech, to help out know better for what's going on for those babies, for instance, of what's happening with them, just using data.
Because first of all, data is the most valuable thing we have. So if we already give our data right when we were born, what's the point?
But it depends. Come on.
It's what are you giving them for? It doesn't depend, because for example, let me just give you a simple example. I'm a newborn, you're my dad, we're growing, like you're educating me, my mom's educating me as well, and we're growing slowly. And you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You're not going to be stressed out of like having those data and being like, oh, this is so bad, we need to fix this like real quick, and we need to find a solution for that and so another solution for that. And you're going to have so much data into your mind that you're going to be confused, and at the end you're going to be only stressed every single day because of that data.
And you bring a right point, Yassine, because at the end of the day, when you're born, remember, you don't remember because you were a baby, but you had a meningitis, and this meningitis brought you out of the stomach of your mom 2 months earlier. And we were looking at how we could cure you. I remember you had some veins that we couldn't find anymore, to the extent that we found veins into your head. And it was really a very painful experience for us. And we left it without knowing exactly what was going on. So if we were talking about data, to come back to you, Yassine, if we had the right data to know what was going on, we wouldn't take so much time, because it took you 3 months to get out of the hospital. So I believe if we had the right data, of those 10,000 infants that passed this period or this kind of sickness, we would have known much better and much faster how to cure you. Bringing data of something for the good, I don't think it's bad. I think the opposite. I think we should have all the data in the world to be able to cure people better, to make them live better, to make them think better, and to have them also thrive in their life better. And this is the good side of AI. It is you learn out of data you have to help other people predict what could happen to them.
I agree. Let's say 90% of what you said.
Thank you. You came back to.
No, I just disagree.
Welcome to the club.
I just disagree about the point of like because of the stress that's going to bring you, because it's your child, and when you have a newborn, you care a lot about your newborn. I mean, I think maybe I'm going to experience it one day, but the thing is, I agree when companies use your data for good, when companies use your data to help you and not to make something else, which a lot of companies are selling your data to do something else. There is a lot of regulation. There's a lot of regulations which you have to take. There's a lot of different surveys. You give your consent or you don't give your consent as a customer to be able to give that data. But as a newborn, how can you give your consent? My second thought, which is very positive, brings exactly, it relates with your thoughts as well, is that yes, I'm a strong believer that today data in health is going to help us live a longer and better life at a certain extent, because we're going to know exactly what we have to eat to feel better or to be stronger, what exercises do we have to do to be able to feel good in our body, even if we want to go to the restaurant or we're on holidays or whatsoever. We're going to have those metrics, we're going to have those apps to be able to continue a healthy lifestyle in a long term.
Yeah, well, that's what we do at 𝐒𝐿. We look at those data and we try to help our people And I agree with you that we shouldn't share with those data with anybody. But that doesn't mean that we can't use this data to train our models to be able to predict in a better way what could happen to anybody else. Imagine something has some kind of sickness at the same timing with you. Imagine you have your AP wearable and you have something, but somebody else in the other side of the world has the same thing. And it can help out understand better what you have and predict better what other people can have. And let me tell you something about the data. Do you have a phone? Okay, I have a phone. The day you sign up for your phone, you signed up for giving up all your data.
I agree.
So don't give me that crap of saying, okay, we have to protect our data and data and data. I don't agree with that policy at all. I'm telling you why. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Telling you why. Because now that we're talking, we have a phone in front of us. This platform records us. He has data for everything. He records, he has your information. Then the people say, okay, I don't use the data, I don't share it. It's a different thing that having data and sharing data.
But I agree 100% with you on that, on this. Like, for example, I'm the first one who says like, okay, I allow my data because I don't care anymore. Like, I just allow my data. I'm in an age where like, I'm conscious about what I'm giving. And I know that in my phone, every app I download gets my data from my phone and my phone has everything.
Okay, but then we come to another topic because we were talking about the data used for out of babies to be able to cure other babies. And this is one topic which is very, very narrow and has to be considered as the effort to make science advance very fast. But then Yassine gets into another kind of discussions which bring data as a whole. And this is for us a very important thing because we have to know that anyway, by any means, we're giving our data with our, I would say, unconscious agreement. Because when you get a new phone, and you want to bring the phone to work for your needs, you always say accepted. You never say I don't accept, because otherwise your phone won't work. That's it. And this is why I'm saying data is giving anyways. But for what purpose is it giving? Is it giving to make the phone work better or the baby be cured faster? This is the kind of data that we can accept to give, because anyway we give data. But what I don't agree with is shared data. Like I'm giving data to my phone. Okay, the phone company is something that is known to help people get in contact between each other. But for them to use it for their own good, for their commercials, or giving it to somebody else, this we can't agree, but you can't verify. That's the point.
I mean, there's like different kinds of opinions into this. There are strong believers that their data is very valuable. There's other people that are like, okay, we're gonna give our data, whatever. But like you said, coming back to the topic of babies, I have a mixed opinion with that. Just because babies are not conscious to be able to give the data, but if it can help another baby that have the same sickness and can save a baby, I agree that data is helpful. I agree that it's important to have it to be able to cure and to give them a better life.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Yassine. Imagine you are an extremist, refusing totally to give your data. If I tell you, Yassine, your data will be anonymized, nobody will know your name, it'll be digitized and anonymized, but it'll help 1 million people thrive and live a good life.
I'll give it to you.
Say it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I'll
it.
give it to you.
Data not only has to be anonymized, but it has to be protected in a way that nobody else can use it unless they have your consent. That's what we do at 𝐒𝐿, by the way. We use encryption and post-quantum encryption to protect the data of the people. But that doesn't mean we don't use it to train our model to cure more people, to help out more people, feel better, do things in a better way, because we have a crowd helping out everybody. Like imagine you're driving a Tesla, all right? That's how 𝐒𝐿 would be released, by the way. You're driving a Tesla. You have a problem in your engine, in a heartbeat. When you know the problems, all the cars know the problems that you have in your engine. It's not to do any commercials for Tesla or anybody else. And I think this will be the new normal. Whatever happens to you in something on your phone, I mean, look at your phone app. Whenever you update it, It's because something happened that made the company updated it. This is the way out of the crowd of the data, of the remarks people are giving. I mean, companies are lifting up the product for your interest.
I really want to know what you guys think about this topic. Again, if you can leave us a comment and just debate about it, I will be happy to read your comments and know exactly what you think about this topic as well. Well, I think that was like a very rich podcast. We learned a lot. We discussed a lot. I personally learned a lot, even though I read those articles and I know about those topics. But discussing and exchanging with you and exchanging with the audience helps me learn a lot. So thanks a lot for that. And I can't wait to be able to share it. And I can't wait for you guys as well to learn about this. And it's only the beginning of this amazing Wellness Billion podcast.
And Yassine, I have to tell you something. You learned from me, but I learned from you, because at the end of the day, your perspective is something I have to take into account, because you're the future. Mm-hmm. I don't say I'm the past. I say I'm a potential future to steward youth like you in the future. So that means that, I mean, there is no black and white at the end of the day. There is good heart or the good intentions, and not something like to do it for the sake of doing it. You have to be able to solve problems, and that we are here to say. I think AI, like other topics we've been related to, are things that are important to know, because at the end of the day, they fill our lives one way or another. So guys, I hope you enjoyed, and see you next week.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button so you don't miss the next one.